watching the U.S. American-Made Guitars Show, brought to you by UsePedals.com and Wilgard Productions. Visit WilgardProductions.com for all your audio production needs. Without further delay, here's your host from Chester, Montana, USA, Gary Housley.
All right, this is Gary Housley with USAmericanMadeGuitars.com, and I've got a really great special guest with us here today. I've got Blaine Kaltman. He's the guitarist for a band called Stone Mob. You guys are East Coast. Exactly where?
I live out in D.C. I live in Northern Virginia. Our bass player's in D.C., our drummer's in Maryland, and our singer's in Virginia Beach. So we're Virginia, D.C. based band.
Yeah, and what a cool band, too. I caught you guys on YouTube. I just ran into you. I was searching around videos and just looking at different things, and I ran into a video, and it was really cool. You guys were, it was like old-time Western-type video with heavy rock music. And
Murder Town is what you're talking about. Yeah, that was it was a lot of fun to shoot. We had like cowboy shootout in the woods, and we had a guy come in who brought all these replica guns, so it looked as realistic as we could make it on our budget, and but it was definitely a lot of fun, and yeah,
it's definitely fun, and that's how I got introduced to you guys. Was just kind of stumbled into you, and then I found some more videos, and they were in the same style, kind of. You guys have a very interesting take on doing videos. To say that you guys must have a heck of a sense of humor and probably joke around a lot, I imagine.
Have a heck of a what? I'm sorry. we certainly do. Yeah, I mean, everyone in the band, honestly, I'd say they're all a bunch of comedians. I mean, they're all very funny, great guys, and we're all great friends. So when we all get together, it's nonstop for sure.
Yeah, and I really like your band. So it's a really cool group of guys. Everybody in the band is pretty strong. And when I first heard you, I thought that the singer would be an easy replacement, for AC/DC's lead singer.
Oh wow, that's it's funny. When I grew up, my favorite singer in the world was Brian Johnson. I mean, that's like AC/DC was huge to me. So yeah, I'm definitely. But honestly, I'll give. Doug's got a lot of range. I mean, his voice has so much grit and so much power to it, and he can go pretty, he can go gritty. I mean, there's almost nothing he can't do, and I really, it's awesome having a singer like that. It really is. I keep trying to find the thing he can't do. I'll find it eventually. But that's, at the same time, he's always trying to find the thing I can't do. It's like I'll play a lead, he'll be like, that'd be great if you could play the top. So we're always kind of trying to push each other to the next level, and he's amazing, and so is everyone. I mean, Andy, our drummer's an incredible guy. He's played with everyone. I mean, he's been with like Gladys Knights and the Pits and the Temptations, and I mean, anytime you watch a Discovery Channel commercial, it's probably him playing on it. He's amazing, and our bass player too. Will's just an amazing guy. The guy's stage presence is unbelievable. So I feel really just lucky to be surrounded by such talented musicians.
They are. Like, every single one of them are very talented, and you can just tell it's a great group of guys. And I think that's probably why it transfers over into your sound and so well. I mean, you guys are fun. You're a fun band.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I feel like sometime in the 90s, I grew up in the 80s, right, where it was all like, Poison and Whitesnake, and the videos were all like girls dancing on cars and guys singing about how they couldn't wait for Friday night to go out and party. And sometime in the 90s, there was this shift where things became more like political and emotional and people whining when everything around me is broken. And I was like, what happened? Like, since when did we go from like girls on hot cars and awesome, singing about how we're going to go out and party to like guys in flannel shirts whining about everything? Okay. It was like a paradigm shift. And I understand maybe the economy or the political climate or whatever did it, but it just took a lot of the fun. Like for me, music was always cathartic. Even if I had a shitty day, I could crank up Van Halen or Poison or whatever, and I would jam and I'd feel better. It's like if I had a crappy day and I start cranking up something that's real emotional and downtrodden, it would probably make me feel worse. So I don't know when the shift was, but sometime in like I said, the early 90s, we don't want to go that route. Like we're still having fun.
Absolutely. I agree with you on all the points that you made, and that really is what happened. I mean, it happened, and like you said, who knows why, but pretty good guess, like you said, the political climate could have had something to do with it. But, I think that we need to get back to some funner days. So bands like Stone Mob, that's kind of what I'm attracted to. And I don't really particularly feel like being depressed listening to music, really. So
exactly. It's like music's supposed to pick you up and make you happy and pump you up.
And that's
I'm with you 100%.
That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I found in Stone Mob. So you guys check out Stone Mob and see, what I'm talking about. It's really awesome, very awesome.
Thank you so much.
Let's check over here, and I want to show everybody your guitars. And the first guitar that we're going to talk about is a really cool guitar. Look at this. It's an Ernie Ball Music Man, Albert Lee signature, circa 2008. And I love white guitars. I've got a white Charvel, just love it. I've had several white guitars. Is that true white?
No, it's like a light blue.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's like, but you're right. It's a very, very light blue. I mean, it's not like your average blue, and depending on how the sun's hitting it, it could almost be white. So, yeah, that is just a beautiful guitar. I mean, it's funny. I never named guitars, but for some reason that one I started calling it the Blue Dream. I guess there's a Joe Satriani song that has that title in it. Of course, he's like a guitar god to me and all. But yeah, that's a beautiful guitar. And it's funny. I was going to buy it, and I was playing, and I never put the tremolo bar in. And I knew this was the first guitar I ever bought, actually, that had a tremolo, like a whammy bar. I just never used it. I always played on Gibsons. But I knew, I wanted a guitar with one. I was getting into the thought of doing dive bombs and this and that. This was only a few years ago, by the way. And when I bought the guitar, I practiced on it. At the last minute, I was like, hey, let me get that whammy bar. And I realized you couldn't pull it back. You could only dive forward. You know how, most Floyd Roses, you can, pull them back or forward. You could stretch the note going up or stretch it down. This, you could only stretch it going down. And I was like, oh, my God, I almost didn't buy the guitar because of that. And the salesperson at Guitar Center was very smart. What he said, he was like, Van Halen's guitars don't pull back. And it's somehow duped me. I was like, well, I guess if it's good enough for Eddie, it should be good enough for me, right?
Right.
And then I already loved the guitar, and I loved the way it played. I loved everything about it. So I thought, screw it. I haven't had whammy bars on any of my guitars before this anyway. So what real difference does it make? But I knew when I got one, I would want to go back and forth. But I bought it anyway, and obviously it served me well. I mean, it's beautiful, and I love the humbucker pickups. I went in the shop. I was looking for a guitar that played like a Strat, looked like sounded like a Gibson. Stratocasters, they've got a thinner kind of sound to it. I mean, Strats are great, don't get me wrong, and obviously guys like Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan made them sound thick. But that humbucker pickup, that Black Sabbath kind of sounding pickup, that's AC/DC. I mean, a lot of the Slash, all those great sort of metal guitar players, they almost always have a humbucker pickup. So I knew that was really important to me.
I agree with you. I like the humbucker pickup too. Is there any specific kind of pickup or that you like, or did you go with stock pickups in this Music Man?
The Music Man, I believe, is stock pickups. Yeah, I remember. I think they are stock humbuckers, and the same with my Les Paul. Those are also stock humbuckers. I mean, I've messed around with the DiMarzios and all of those, but it almost, to me, it's like if you got a humbucker, you're already 95% there. You could let your strings and the amp do the rest of the work.
Yeah, my guitars don't have upgraded pickups in them either, so I'm not one of those guys that are specific to a pickup brand or anything myself. The stock ones sound fine. I'm more concerned about the tone coming from the amp and the pedals more than anything else.
Right. That makes a huge difference. It really does.
Yeah, it seems like the humbuckers that are stock in the decent guitars, so they sound great. There's no need for an upgrade. I don't even know if an upgrade would change the sound, to be honest with you, but definitely there's differences in amplifiers and pedals, and so, I mean, there's so many different variations of stuff that out there that no wonder so many people sound differently. So
yeah, it's true. That's the amazing thing that you could just have. I mean, there could be two guitar players with exactly almost the same everything, and they're still going to sound, have different sounds. Like slightly thinner gauge on the string, one of the humbuckers is turned on, slightly different pickup, slightly different amp. It is amazing. I heard that Jimmy Page used to, when recording Zeppelin stuff, by the time they got to their fourth album, they were doing things like in a house studio rather than an actual studio. They put their amplifiers in different rooms, under beds, wherever they had to put it, just to get a slightly different echo off of it, to change their sound from song to song. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, yeah. And that's a great band, Led Zeppelin. And, they, again, playing around with that tone and always trying to come up with something new and different. And a lot of times that doesn't involve, a lot of upgrades. You can just go with your standard, especially these USA models. I mean, they're built to last right out of the factory.
I agree. I mean, look, it's American-made stuff tends to be awesome. It does. It might cost a little more to make it, but you really do get a high-quality product. My amps are American-made. I use a Bedrock. Unfortunately, they actually went out of business. It was like a boutique amp company, and I heard different things, that they ran the tubes too hot or this and that. But my amp sounds like a Marshall, almost a Marshall on steroids. Like, it's got a great sound to a Marshall, another great American amp company. But yeah, that stuff does last well. And, my guitars definitely have lasted. My Gibson, I've been playing on that thing for 25 years. I literally got that 25 years ago. And that was a road guitar. I mean, that guitar, I've played more gigs on it than any other guitar I have. And it still just plays great. And it's been dropped. I mean, there's no truss rod in Gibsons. There's nothing to adjust, and somehow it's survived.
Right on. And by the way, Marshall is a British amp.
Is it really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that. That's.
You know why you didn't realize that, right? Because us Americans love it so much. Everybody and their monkey's uncle wants to play through one. I mean,
right? It's like every rock guitar player I could think of almost played through a Marshall. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you would think that it was an American-made product because so many Americans really dig that. And Orange amplifiers are also British-made, but so there's the whole American-made guitar and American music, for that matter, combined with the British amplification. Those two melded together, and we ended up with things like Hendrix and Black Sabbath and those bands that you mentioned. We kind of ended up with those because it made it possible for those tones, and those tones gave you the vibe that produced all that great music.
Right.
So
wow. I'm so glad you told me that, man. I was really walking around believing Marshalls were American. I can see why. I associate Marshall with. I associate with AC/DC, but I associate Marshall with Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Slash, like Jimmy Page, all those guys. Of course, Jimmy Page was British. This is a good show. It's educational. Kids out there are going to like kids. Don't assume that Marshall's American.
Well, no problem. No problem with that. Well,
actually, I assumed Orange was American too. That must be my American arrogance there. To think that I just assume it's great. We came up with it.
Yeah, I used to think the same thing too, so don't feel bad. I didn't realize until I learned that, where it was made, and then finally I knew from that point on. But holy moly, you would think that it's American because everybody in America loves those amps, and there's reasons for that. I mean, they're awesome, and there's no doubt about that. Marshall is an incredible company, and so is Orange. But to transition here, I mean, I love this Ernie Ball music, man. I love Ernie Ball guitars, and especially the Albert Lee signature. I know another fella, Steve Harvey out of England, who loves the Albert Lee stuff. So that's an awesome guitar, man, and it sounds great. I've heard you play it. It's an amazing sound. So what a great guitar, and I like your string jumping video.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
yeah, that's it's not the easiest technique in the world, but it certainly gives you a lot of range.
Yeah, you're quick. I wouldn't want to get in a match with you to draw down on, because I'm afraid that you've got the mojo, man.
Good. Me and Ralph Macchio can go take on Steve Vai at the Crossroads.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You heard that, Steve? No. Well, okay. So let's go to this next guitar. It's a wicked axe too. I mean, I've been looking at these a lot lately. This is a Gibson Les Paul Studio Faded. It's a circa 1991. What a beautiful guitar, man. I love it.
Yeah, that is the color alone, it's like natural wood with some sort of finish over it. Like, it's not black, it's not brown. Like I don't know what color it is. It's almost like just like weird natural wood underneath it.
Yeah,
And
it's got a little bit of redness or maroon kind of to it, just a hint, and
right.
just a beautiful guitar, man. I love those faded guitars, and the Gibson Les Paul Studio is famous. I mean, everybody that's into guitars, if you've ever played one of these, man, they play like butter.
Oh, they do. That's the reason I got it was that was the first guitar I ever felt like super fast on. Because all my life up until that point, I got the guitar like in my I don't know, I was probably around like 21 years old. So I started playing when I was like by the time I got my first electric, I was maybe 16. So I got like a Kramer Striker, or a Kramer Focus. I can't remember what. And then I had like a crappy Ibanez Roadster too. I had all these like kind of crappy like $150 guitars. It was great to learn on whatever I'm playing. But this was like the first real instrument I ever played on. It was the first one I tried. God, I was like so much faster. I could really crank. And then not to mention when it went through the amp, all of a sudden I was like, hey, that's the sound I was looking for. Like I never understood as a kid when I plugged my crappy guitar into my crappy amp why it didn't sound like Angus Young. Even when I was playing the same stuff, I'm like, I know I'm playing it right, but the sound was just thinner and less of true. And now, especially with those humbucker pickups and playing on one of those instruments, you go faster and better. Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful. The neck is scalloped. I mean, it's so easy to play on that. It is. It's just a great guitar.
Yeah, it looks like it, and I can't say enough about all American-made guitar companies. I mean, there's a lot of people. It's just like with cars, well, I like Fords or I like Chevys or or whatever. I like all of these American-made companies, and I wish all of them were successful, and I wish there was room for everyone to just make mad money off of selling their guitars. But the competition's what drives these guys and their innovation. So, Gibson, it has, they came out with their guitar with the automatic machine tuners, that automatically tune the guitar and you just strike the strings,
I had one of those. I had a Gibson robot guitar. I bought one about maybe 10 years ago. And I gave it to Doug, Earth Dog Masterson, the singer in our band. I sort of gave it to him as a gift so he'd have a better guitar to jam on, to help write songs and whatnot. And it was a beautiful guitar. It looks really nice, but the robotics on it died within about 3 months of me having it. And I thought it was a really cool idea. Imagine you're on stage. It was heavy because you had like the big metal kind of tuner pegs. But you really could literally hit a button. It would be like, woo, 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 and just be like drop G. And then, you hit another button. It's like, woo, 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 and now you're tuned to like an open A chord. You could set your own tunings. The thing was cool as hell. But unfortunately, like I said, the robotics, they didn't hold up well. I think that's the reason that guitar, to me, that is sort of the future. And the other thing is for a stage guitar, it would be very heavy. I mean, to jump around with that thing, it was a good, I'd say, 10 pounds heavier than, like your average Les Paul.
Yep, growing pains, it's a great idea, and it's really cool. That's why I mentioned it, but it's about innovation. And, I mean, Fender has come out with their new models. They're a little bit different than the way where the plate is and on the back to bolt it on.
Right.
That's kind of that area is kind of cut away now a little bit, so it's easier to get to that upper registry. And there's a bunch of other features and enhancements that they put on these new, the Fender Stratocasters. And so
that makes me want to play on one.
Yeah, they're really cool. They just keep innovating and getting better, and that's what I like about USA and USA manufacturers in general. So,
well, what's awesome that those guys do is they go to like the best guitar players. I mean, they're going to guys like Steve Vai and John Petrucci and all those guys and saying, "Hey, what would you do? Like what are you missing?" I mean, when you think about like even the Floyd Rose tremolo, I mean, that was sort of like, I mean, Van Halen didn't invent it, but he was like, I need this to not go out of tune when I do dive bombs, and people started working on that. I love that the innovations actually come from like the guitar players themselves.
Yep, from that feedback.
Right, from the feedback, exactly. And then like the engineers, who are the real heroes, get to work and figure out how to do this thing.
Yeah, they have to interpret that and then try to get it to come through.
Exactly. That's really amazing. I'm in awe of, I mean, they're artists in their own right, for sure.
Well, you're an awesome artist, and I'm really surprised that you're not endorsed by anybody, but it might be because I won't tell anyone what you do, but you do a lot of traveling, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but a guy like you, in my opinion, should be endorsed by somebody.
That's such a nice thing to say. And, it would be awesome if it happens. Like we're obviously we're working towards that end. And I feel that way about everyone in my band. Like all these guys should be on, should be endorsed by what they're doing. We just played our first show. Once we start playing more shows and get on tour and whatever, I'm hoping we can make our mark.
Yeah, I'm hoping you do too. I know you guys have been doing the video thing here and there for a little while, and you guys have known each other forever.
Yeah. Me and Will, I've known him the longest. We were in high school together. We used to, in gym class, like he would like make beatboxes, and I would like rap over it.
Well, since we're talking about the guys,
I'm glad
since we're talking about the guys here, and you're talking about doing beatbox over this stuff, let's take a look. Here's Stone Mob right here. Not the best picture in the world, but I had to put this picture up because I'm always teasing Blaine. I'm always teasing Blaine about his muscles. He's a well-built individual, to say the least, and so I'm always teasing him about that. So here's a picture.
My mom would say I'm not well-built. She would say I'm well-fed.
Well, thanks, Mom.
And to give her a shout out, she did give me a piece of pudding pie the other day, which was delicious. I'm still tasting it, so you might be right.
Excellent. What a good mom. What a great mom. You made a great fella there, Mom.
Actually, my parents came to my first show, which was really amazing. Like they're more into Rodgers and Hammerstein and Puccini. Like, rock and roll is not their thing. I think for them, rock and roll ended about the time like Chuck Berry and Elvis were really making it good, turning into what it is today. But they still came to my show and rocked out, and that was amazing.
Well, this picture's of you guys. You're down in your practice room, and let's introduce everybody. You got the bass player over here on the left. His name?
His name is Wilford David, but we call him Mr. Creative because he's just full of ideas. The guy is, he's super smart. He's super funny. He's it's really, you'd have to meet him, but the guy's always got something sarcastic or funny to say, and he's and also a great bass player. And honestly, a great bass player. He's only been playing about maybe a month and a half, 2 months. He was literally like, "Hey man, I want to play in y'all's band." And we were like, "Do you play bass?" And he was like, "No, but I'm going to get one." And sure enough, here he is. So incredible, right?
It is actually incredible. You got that Johnny Cash look.
And even before that, I remember when we were first recording our stuff in the studio, and Will was always hanging out, and I was like, "We need to get a dedicated bass player." Doug was like, "I don't see why we don't just get Will to do it." And I was like, "I don't think he plays bass." And then 2 weeks later, Will's like, "Hey, I was thinking of playing bass for you guys. I'm going to go buy a bass." And now we're playing our first show, and Will's killing it. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome. He took right to it like a fish to water.
He seriously did. That guy was born to do it.
I wonder what kind of bass he plays. Is it American?
I don't think so. I think he bought up, but give it time. Give it time, and it will be. I'll find out. I know Yamaha. That's not.
No. We got to fix that. Okay, so now we got the singer here. Introduce the singer. He's
Doug,
in the muscle shirt.
Doug Earth Dog Masterson, and I can't say this enough. We call him the alien because sometimes it'll literally sound like his voice is like hitting 2 notes at once, almost like a Mongolian throat singer. But Doug's not classically trained. He just yells and his throat opens up and it starts resonating. And it's amazing. I mean, the guy can hit such high notes with so much power. And plus, he's just so fun to play with. I mean, he's running around. He pumps us up. We see Doug out there jumping around, having the time of his life. It's hard for us not to get, completely inspired. So he's just an amazing frontman. And also, truly like my brother. I mean, we've known each other for 25 years. I hit a tough time in my life back when I barely knew Doug, and he just took me under his wing, looked out for me. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about the guy.
Yeah, he's high energy. He looks like he's fun to hang with. He's not,
yes.
You could tell that that's not a stuck-up individual right there.
No, actually, no one in the band. That's one of the reasons I love these guys. There isn't a fake thing about any of them. Really, there's nothing I could say bad about him. Andy, our drummer, he's so amazing. He's just the most mellow, fun guy. Funny, he tells funny stories. He's always making a funny face, and God, can he play well. And he's just a blast to hang out with. It's funny that his last name's Hamburger. Anytime he texts me a message, he'll always like include like an icon, like an emoji of a hamburger in it. Like you got like thumbs up, like we're gonna rock it, brother. And there's a burger. I mean,
his last name is Hamburger.
It is. Yeah.
Wait,
that's probably the only reason he's the only guy in the band without a nickname. You know, because it's like his last name's an automatic nickname.
It's automatic, dude. It's too much fun.
Yep.
That's too much fun. I don't know if you know this or not, but what kind of drums does he play? Do you know?
I don't.
No,
I don't know that.
I'm always curious about what people are playing.
I'll find all that out. I'll get it back to you. I know that Doug sings through a Shure microphone because he bought it like a couple days before the first show. You know, like live. But I don't know anything. You know.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Well, that's the way to go, Blaine. I mean, Shure microphones. I mean, I definitely think those are great. Then I like Rode microphones, and there's other ones and some Audio Technicas, and there's a lot of really good microphones out there. So, but Shure is definitely one of the. I've had some Shure 57s in my time, and I swear by those things.
Nice. I got my wireless pack with Shure as well. They seem to be a good company.
Oh, your wireless packs with Shure, is that working well?
Yeah, well, this was the first time I'd ever done it. All my life I've been, just kind of plugged into the amp. But then for the show, I thought, I want to be wireless. I want to be able to run around and
how hard was it to figure out how to get it going and use it and all that?
No, it was literally like plug and play. It took me about 10 minutes. And I'm a Luddite. Like, I'm terrible with technology. Once I put it together, it's like, I put this here, I flick this switch here. Super simple.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's awesome. I mean, you are off the leash. Like, I could run everywhere on the stage, jump, do whatever I want. I never considered it. I've had gigs, years ago, I went around and like my foot would land on the cord and unplug me. Just where you want to start kicking ass. It's like the guitar just dropped out. I'm scrambling around on the floor looking for my cord. That will never happen again.
What kind of do you even have a preference for strings?
I do. I've always used Ernie Ball strings. I think they're awesome. And I use usually a 9 gauge on the Ernie Ball Albert Lee, and on the Gibson I'll use a 10 gauge. I think that's what the guitars are designed for. And lately I've shifted to I use the Super Slinky, but lately I've shifted to the Paradigms because allegedly they're unbreakable, or they're more difficult to break. I actually already broke one, but my tremolo bar histrionics can get a little crazy. But the Ernie Ball strings, the Paradigms, I think they're great. They play and sound just like regular Ernie Ball Super Slinkies, and it's hard to break them. You got to work at it.
Oh, they are great. I really enjoy the Super Slinky, the pink pack.
Yeah, exactly. I was always getting the pink pack. Now the Paradigms that I get are black with like pink lettering, but it's the same string. It's just more break resistant.
Yeah, they are more break resistant. The Paradigms, there's videos circulating out there of people trying to break them on purpose.
Yeah, like people using like drills on them and like chainsawing their guitar and shit.
Yeah,
but I did. I had a set of those strings on my guitar for about a month, and I hit the whammy bar hard. Like I picked hard because I learned to play in the classical. So for me, I hit my strings probably a lot harder than I actually need to, just because of the way I learned. I was always, when you're playing Iron Maiden on a classical, you're trying to get as much volume as possible out of it, so you're beating the shit out of it. My electric, you really don't need to hit it that hard, but just for the first couple years playing guitar, I did. So, but yeah, those Ernie Balls lasted me a month, and then finally the high E string popped. And I was impressed. I was like, wow, because you can actually get a refund from those guys if you send them the strings and the box and the date of purchase, because they claim their strings are unbreakable. But the amount of hoops I had to jump through, and plus I thought, this string lasted better than it should have. Like, if it only took me a month to break it, that's pretty impressive. They don't need to refund me my money. They did their job.
Yeah, most of us wouldn't even call them on that.
Exactly.
But that's awesome that they offer it. I mean, there are going to be some guys out there that
take advantage. Yeah, sure.
They don't get it, and they're going to take advantage of it. And there might be an occasional legitimate breakage, but they got the guarantee on there for a reason. So I'm glad that you've tried them. You're the first person I've talked to that's tried those strings.
Oh, they're like I said. I mean, I felt a lot more confident even in our show that we played, because I restrung my guitar with those strings maybe 2 days before the show, and it was killer. I had no fear at all of my strings breaking.
Well,
Because when you're on your string breaks, it's a nightmare. The whole guitar warps out of there. Like it's bad for you. It's bad for the audience. Bad for everyone.
well, I didn't find any pictures of any of your effects or anything like that. What are you using for your effects?
I only use right now one effect. I've got an MRX Phase 90.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's a phaser. It's real old school. Yeah. And I dial it way back to like 9 o'clock. I mean, that thing's barely on. And I usually just hit it when I hit a solo just to give my guitar a slightly different, like a slightly different sound.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to get a wah-wah pedal. I got some ideas for that. I wouldn't mind getting a delay and all, but I like the guitar to be dry. I mean, I'm old school. Obviously, I was very influenced by Van Halen and, Angus Young. And those guys, they just kind of, it was like they didn't really put on effects. It's like it's like now it's the solo. So they just solo. I'm kind of more into that.
Right on. Well,
yeah, like I use the stock distortion in my amp. I don't use any special distortion.
Right. Well, your amp is a boutique amp, and it probably, has some great distortion on it then, because from what I hear, man, it sounds fabulous.
It's a great amp. It's got 4 tubes in the back. They run really hot. My understanding is, now I don't want to say too much because I'm the guy that thought that Marshalls were from Britain. But my understanding is the Bedrock amp, one of the reasons it went out of business was the amps ran a little hot. And they had some problem one time at a demo where, like, right before the demo or something, an amp blew out. I feel like I remember reading something like that in Wikipedia, but I'm not sure. But I know that the tubes do run hot, and they need to be changed more frequently. Like if you had a Marshall with 4 tubes, maybe you got to change the tubes every like 6 months. With the Bedrock, you probably got to go every 3. They run very hot.
So how does Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but it gives a fat sound. I mean, it definitely gives you a lot of power.
Oh yeah, you definitely have a lot of power in your tone, and your solos are really really good, man. They're very melodic. They seem to have some purpose to them, but you're flying all over the place. I mean, you kind of remind me of I hate to say it, but it's true. You kind of remind me of Eddie Van Halen a little bit because you got a good ear and you're very quick on the fretboard with the string jumping, and it was really cool that you put that string jumping video in place. And I believe that was picked up by a magazine, wasn't it?
Guitar World, yeah,
Guitar World.
Which is just such an honor, man. I mean, I used to cut pictures of Van Halen out of Guitar World and put them on my wall as a kid. So now, like, to be in that magazine is just like the most humbling thing in the world.
I've got a picture of Van Halen on my wall right now that I cut out of Guitar World. So I'm still doing it.
Nice.
No, great magazine, great people over at Guitar World and Premier Guitar. Absolutely. And all those, magazines out of the U.S. here that are putting out great materials. So again, the competition brings innovation. So
definitely
wonderful magazines. I love them all. So how do you and your band work together? I mean, how do you guys go about writing songs together?
It just depends. Most of the songs, like, I'll sort of come up with the lick, come up with the basic stuff and just sort of bring it to them. And then, like, sometimes I'll even write the lyrics, and then Doug will sort of, kind of make them his own. Like, he might change them up. He'll be like, instead of saying this here, I'm going to say this there and whatever. And then, we get in the studio, and more often than not, Andy will be like, how about I play this or how about I play that, sort of suggest what to do. But sometimes I've got an idea, like Murder Town at the end. I knew I wanted to be like, bzz, bzz, like I was like, I need you to. It's funny. I'll make noises with the drum, and Andy will be like, oh, you mean I'm supposed to be hitting, the hi-hat and the bass drum? Like, he knows what drums I'm thinking of. So it's communal. I mean, I'd say I'm responsible for most of the songs, sort of lick writing and everything, putting it all together. But we're definitely, we work them as a band. There's no doubt about it.
That's great. And, the lead singer, I mean, usually lead singers are very heavy into writing lyrical content and that kind of stuff. Does he participate in the lyrical content writing, or is that you as well?
It's mostly me, but like I said, Doug will take it and he'll change it. But we do have one song on our album coming out, Smooth Move, which Doug wrote the lyrics for. It was actually based on something that happened with us. We were in a restaurant. There was a pretty waitress, and we were with a bunch of guys. You could tell all the guys, she was being flirtatious and fun. And all the guys wanted to, like, hit on her, get her number. It was like, you got the opportunity, but no one was making their move. So he wrote the song about make your move, boy. You know, it's like you got nothing to lose. And they were great lyrics, so fun. And it turned into, he gave me the lyrics that just so happened that I had a lick at the time. I was like, I bet these will fit over that. Sure enough, it did. So I'm actually hoping that might be the next video we do for
Oh,
that song.
that sounds awesome, man. Smooth move. So you got a new album coming out, huh?
We have 9 songs recorded, and we need to go ahead and master them and put out the CD, and we're working towards that end.
Okay, about how long do you think you guys have before you're going to be able to actually have that out on the street?
I'd give it another maybe couple months.
That quick?
Yeah, should. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the songs are all done; they're all recorded and mixed. Which, by the way, we've got the best engineer in the world. Sean Russell at Q Studio, and he engineered us, produced us, mixed all our songs. The guy's amazing, and it's driving him crazy that we haven't mastered our stuff yet. He's like, you got your music is out there. The way our drummer Andy put it was, it's like having a Ferrari that has a paint job, but you never put the clear coat on it. They're like, get that shit mastered. So we need to do that. That's the next stage. But we're putting the cash together to do that, and we'll get it done soon. And once we do that, we should be able to put out our CD.
Right. Now you guys are independent, right?
Yes, we are. We're not affiliated with anyone at this point.
At this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what we're looking for. We'd love for someone to come along and not just invest in us, but mentor us, and help us that route. But right now, we haven't achieved that yet. But we're definitely working towards that end.
Well, you guys deserve it. I mean, I love the funny videos. The music's tight. Why not? I think you guys should take off and should get some notice. Definitely should get noticed. I personally believe that.
Thank you so much. I see that there seems to be a trend towards moving back towards rock and roll. And I heard some stuff on the radio the other day that sounded like Zeppelin. I mean, it wasn't. It was like a new band. But the fact that they're going in that direction makes me think that I think people are ready for it. It's really, I mean, like I said, sometime, even if you consider grunge, that was like rock and roll's last hurrah. I mean, you had the 80s metal, then you had grunge. Ever since then, for the past many years, it's been kind of a lull in rock and roll. You've had some hip hop based rock and roll type stuff, but as far as like real sort of heavy rock, there hasn't been much. And I think people miss that. I think they're ready to get back to that.
Yeah, I think people are ready to feel good again and or want to, and I agree with you. It's about time, if you ask me, it's hip hop that's going to start waning.
I don't know if it'll start waning, but I think that there's people that are looking for something else. That's hard. It's really impossible to predict trends. Hip hop's been around a long time. I mean, it definitely. See, I like the hip hop better in the 80s. I felt like it was really, that's when that style was really new, and also the message was so much better. I remember Kool Moe Dee telling people like, Wild Wild West. We used to solve problems with our fists, but not with guns. And hip hop was more about like it's. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Music, it's impossible. Believe me, if we could predict trends, we'd be millionaires.
Oh yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I like all genres of music. If it's good music, I like it.
Right. I think and that's the other thing. When we were in the 80s, it was sort of like if you were into punk, you wouldn't be into rap. If you were into country, you wouldn't be into metal. That's changed. Now we're very much like an eclectic audience. I mean, there's even radio stations now that at Jacked FM, which they always say we play what we want. They'll play like a Madonna song followed by like an Iron Maiden song. I think that's cool because I think most people in this day and age, we've been exposed to so much that we are eclectic. And just because you listen to Rossini doesn't mean you don't like Van Halen.
That's right. And that's awesome. I love that concept that a radio station's doing that.
It's really cool.
Give them a shout out again. Who's doing that?
I think that was Jacked FM. Jack FM. We've got them here in Virginia. It's 102.7, I think. But I know they're like a national thing. I mean, they're kind of all over. And yeah, basically they just play like they'll be playing like Green Day, and then they'll play like a Tribe Called Quest. Because frankly, just because you listen to one doesn't mean you wouldn't dig the other.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're a pretty cool station. I like that.
So you got a new album that you guys are working on getting mastered.
Correct.
And you've got a couple of American-made guitars in the band. And what's it going to take to get this bass player on board?
Will's on board. Oh, to get him to get an American guitar?
Yeah, I want to tease him a little bit. I hope he hears this. And I got nothing against Yamahas but you know, I'm real patriotic. That's why I started this whole thing, is to promote American-made products and American-made people who make them, the craftsmen.
You heard him, Will. I guess you're gonna have to get an American-made bass.
Yeah. I'm just kidding, Will. If you want to play that Yamaha, you go ahead, brother.
We'll put it in the band's budget. Don't worry.
I just have to give him a little bit of grief, you know. He's such a great bass player, and the reason I got to give him some grief is, man, I was hoping to interview him.
Well, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, see what you can do on that part. So,
absolutely.
So what else? What other news do you got? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Like I said, if I'm still sticking with band stuff, I mean, we played our first show. It was great. The amount of bands that came out. We played with a few other bands. We played with sort of a grunge band called Sunshine Hysteria. We played with a punk band called Meatbot, whose drummer was the original drummer for Beefeater. So that was pretty cool. And then we played with a band called the Barking Carnies. And then we played with, me and Will went to high school with a fellow named Richard Berman. His band, Age of Airships, it's funny, every other band that was like hard rock, those guys got on there and did this like space rock jam. It almost sounded like, you know, old Yes or Emerson, Lake and Palmer, kind of just trippy, like amazing musicians. And yeah, so it was a really eclectic show, a lot of fun to watch. We had a good, especially for a Thursday night, we had a lot more people than I expected, and great crowd. They were really music lovers. So that was, it was a real treat for us. We just can't wait to get back on stage again.
Awesome, man. Sounds like you had a great time, Blaine. Blaine, you're great, dude. I think your playing's amazing. You have a wonderful personality.
Thanks so much.
I like what you do for a living. You know, you're just a wonderful human being, man. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Damn, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're going to make me blush.
Well, I'd like to have you back on after the album is released.
Perfect. Anytime. Anytime, Gary. Love it.
All right, folks. You guys have been listening to USAmericanMadeGuitars.com and Blaine Kaltman from the band Stone Mob. Thank you for listening. And until next time, you guys got to keep it rocking.
Video production for the U.S. American-Made Guitar Show by Gary Housley. USAmericanMadeGuitars.com. Audio production by Wilgard Productions. Visit WilgardProductions.com for all your audio production needs.